Okay, let's get talking now. I'd like to get first off your reaction to the USAID report on Nigerians and calling on Nigerians and advising Nigerians and other African countries to brace up for a higher price in food commodities. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it is. I don't think they need to call our attention to that. It is already clear that we are in a terrible situation. Of course, since the period of COVID-19, we have not really stabilized as such. And unfortunately, the situation we find ourselves now is even a more terrible one, and it's alarming. So I think it's a timely call that would have, I mean, we don't need anybody to call to draw attention to that, because we're already experiencing such. Maybe probably they're asking us to double up effort to be able to survive the days ahead. I think it's in the right direction.
Okay, I want to know your view on this. Currently, we are battling with surging food prices, and with all the fundamentals that we are seeing at the moment, there seems not to be any respite coming soon. Now, with this latest report, how worse can things be compared to what we are being faced now, as the price of bread is also skyrocketing? Bakers are saying that they are going on strike. In fact, every aspect of this country is encountering one industrial action or the other. How worst can this situation be for the average Nigerians?
Well, unfortunately, normally in a situation you hear people saying there will be light at the end of the tunnel. But how soon we're going to see this light is what we don't know. Because the situation now is becoming even more terrible, especially when you trace back to the last 2 months. We're already in a dicey situation that was not too good. Then all of a sudden, the subsidy must go slogan came in. Like I keep telling colleagues, it's not that nobody is against the subsidy thing or whatever, but it was what has thrown us into this confusion is not preparing for it, despite the fact that we already knew that we were going to tow this path. We did not prepare for it. And so it's going to be the issue of seeing light at the tunnel. Maybe it's going to be a case of a struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. Certainly, yet we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel, but how many people will be there to see the light? So it's a more terrible situation, my brother, I must confess.
I understand that the unabating Russia-Ukraine crisis is really having a serious implication, not only to the global economy now, but also to emerging economy and developing economy like Nigeria. But my question is, how can we as a nation protect ourselves from the impact of this Russia-Ukraine crisis from affecting the current food inflation that we have in the country at the moment?
Well, my answer to that is, at what point did we get to this? Because I'm tired of blaming the excuse on the Russia-Ukraine war. Yes, we have talked of the issue of getting fertilizer from Russia, from that area. But the issue is, if you look back, before now, were we really dependent on these people on this? How many percentage of Nigeria or Nigerian farmers actually depend on fertilizer? Some 20, 30 years back, should we talk of fertilizer now, up then? But unfortunately, that is what you find when you have a country that has neglected its past and has tied itself into the continuing capitalist world. It's tying ourselves to the Western world.
Dr. Emmanuel Osawe Ekubo, who is a lecturer at the Obafemi Awolowo University, has been talking to me concerning the issue concerning the surging state of food prices in the country. Now you can go ahead, sir, with your submission if you are connected
Yes.
now.
Yeah. So my thought is that, look, we should be able to look internally into our own economy. It was this same country that produced the necessary raw materials that the European world used during the period of during our colonial experience. And after then, the soil is still there, the land is still there, the personnel is still there. So the issue of we should look internally and be able to overcome this issue. In terms of food production, I think that if we go back into our own selves, we should be able to provide the necessary food material that we need, and get out of this issue of always blaming Russia, Ukraine situation for our economic woes.
Okay, so on the 13th of July, President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency on food insecurity to tackle the increase in food prices. Now, in your own opinion, do you see this having any impact on bringing the soaring cost of food prices to a point in the country that everyone will be able to afford food commodities, and then again won't be having the kind of challenge that has brought about widespread hunger in the country?
Hello, I can't hear you.
Okay, so
there seems to be a break from your end.
Can you hear me now?
Hello,
Mr. Makubo, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so my question now is the state of emergency declared by the president on food security. I'd like to get your own opinion on the impact it will have on the soaring cost of food prices in the short term, mid-term, and then the long term.
Yeah, declaring food state of emergency on that sector. I think we are likely to get something good out of it. But unfortunately, how well one can trust this same government on implementing that is what we don't know. You discover that if you go through the books of history, even the last administration did the same thing. Declared state of emergency on the food production, ordered the release of tons of fertilizer, asked that the National Reserve should be open and grain spread all over. But the issue is this first aid approach to our economy, especially as concerned food, cannot heal us, and that is why we are here. We are where we are, even years after independence. The issue is those that are actually involved in the production. How well is the government's policy focused on them? Who gets the fertilizer? Who gets the grain? At what price? Because these places where these things are reserved and released, you hardly see the farmer in the rural farmer getting access to this. There's always a middleman or middlemen. And until the government is able to eliminate that and do real serious implementation, go back to the grassroots, where they connect with those at the grassroots, it may end up being another rhetoric, another policy that may not see the day. But, well, let us keep our fingers crossed. We are hoping that once government is able to implement all it has promised, maybe we'll get to the promised land. But as it is now, I am a bit skeptical about the situation on ground.